how does one go from paramedic, or at least in addiction to paramedic? Where did it all start? How old were you when you were first got introduced to drugs? And basically, how did you end up in field of, well, the medical field of treatment?
Well, it started at a very young age. Yeah, I started in primary school. Um, yeah, I would just say I've been through them all. It was first at the experimental stage, and then yeah, it became a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first time I was in treatment. I was very young, and I didn't actually realize what I was dealing with.
How old is very young?
11, 12.
In a treatment center?
Yeah.
Okay. I would consider that maybe a good thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was good exposure.
Yeah.
Look, I come out of a good home, very prim and proper, both in the medical field. My late mother, she was a nursing sister, and my father is one of the best doctors known in the world.
Okay.
I got to give him his credit.
Nice.
Yeah, great man. Yeah, I sort of developed a soft spot from being the rough, tough individual, this youngster that was very rebellious, leaving the house at the age 15.
Yeah.
And going completely off the rails, in and out of treatment centers, prison, etc.
Yeah.
I got inspired by fellow brothers that didn't have opportunities that I had, and looking at some of those in the more impoverished areas, working with some of these kids, or being exposed to these kids. I can remember when I was a youngster how I was fascinated by drugs and gangsterism and sex and etc. And I didn't have much of a vision for my life. So yeah, because seeing like my dad was, the norms of society was very boring when I was a youngster. I wanted to do things that was exciting and exhilarating.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I started getting tired of the lifestyle, and I looked at what are our youngsters' role models, and how do I fix this problem with myself? Because if I'm looking at the younger generations, we are the cause. Those that are the naughty ones, who were the naughty ones, are the cause of our youngsters being the way they are, because they want to be, everyone want to be like, you follow
up to.
Yeah. So in order to start sorting out that problem, I need to start sorting out myself and my fellow brothers and sisters, in recovery, so that we could have a positive impact on our younger generation, because there was actually absolutely nothing going for our kids. So from that, I developed this passion into assisting others, seeking to create opportunities, because I realized being in treatment with so many other people, a lot of people just didn't have opportunities that I was blessed with, and I took it for granted. And I would have liked to have tried to have made some of those opportunities possible for them.
Yeah.
And in that, it was how I then furthered into the medical field. I never studied in school. I hated studying, and I told myself, as soon as I'm done with school, I'm done studying.
Yeah.
I'll never see a book again. And today, for 14, I'm still studying.
Nice.
My dad is one of my greatest inspirations.
Yeah.
In the medical field, and also as a person, and also being a recovery coach. I think that's what.
Would you go as far as saying that you found your purpose? Like you mentioned, giving back to the community, specifically in Cape Town, you find yourself helping out in that way. So finding your purpose in the field of, having the stars and stripes of being in the medical field and helping out in that way, but not only in that way, but also as a recovering addict as well. Did you feel like you found your calling in life, I guess I'd say?
I did, yes. Reason being, okay, I'm working the programs, especially like the 12 steps or the NA program.
Yeah.
And then we speak, they speak about, even if the message gets out to one person and helps one person out of 100, it could even be 1,000, but it's that one person.
Yeah.
And the success rate of recovering addicts in the past is not very high. And I looked at it and I thought, like, well, I used to do a lot of research and look
Yeah.
at the questions at why and how can we make a change in this. Uh, so in helping others and assisting them, not just in detoxification or educating them on, the basic textbook stuff and some of my personal hands-on experience through my
Yeah.
own struggles in life and with addiction itself. I was able to, I have a better understanding of working with people that suffer from addiction,
Mm, mm,
you know. I found it easier as to where a lot of people and professionals were struggling to get through to recovering addicts.
yes.
That is how I found my purpose in
Yeah.
as a recovery coach.
Yeah.
Reason being, I don't know, God has blessed me with a way with working with people,
Yeah.
getting through to them and understanding them. I'm fortunate for that. That I have a bit understanding working with people and not just educating them on the basics of education, but actually walking the path with them through to education or
Sure. Yeah.
learning skills or going to a certain career path and guide them through it.
Mm,
Yeah, I too. I studied business. I studied accounting. Uh, because I wanted to be nothing like my father.
yeah.
Uh, because that was due to my addiction and my rebellious stage. But today, I wish I could be even a tenth of what he is in the medical field. That is what drove me to continue further in the medical field
Mm,
because,
okay.
yeah, working with recovery addicts is more in mental health care, but
Yeah.
I took it a step further.
Yes.
And how I became a paramedic, before I got to a paramedic, I first went into alternative therapy and medicine because it worked well with working with people with anxiety and
Yeah.
depression and panic disorder and working with trauma.
Yeah.
And these were all things that I needed to educate myself and learn to practice on a professional level working in this field.
Mm.
How I got into paramedics, I was looking for something a little bit more upbeat and I got a passion for helping people. So that is how I got into paramedics.
Nice. Okay. Okay. I mean, later, but later, I would ask if you could step into your space as where you do your practices here with the clients. But before we get into that, because I'd love to hear about alternate, what did you call it? Alternate medicine,
Alternative therapy.
therapy as well. That's very interesting. I love that you guys offer that as well. But before we get into that, I'd just like to ask you from a maybe from a somebody that has just recently been booked in, for example, and they start seeing you. I know the medical side is usually the beginning. And what do you think? What significance it has? The fact that you are a recovering addict as well, and yeah, I come in as a client, and I'm busy with the medical side of things, and I get to speak to someone that sees me for who I am as a recovering addict. I can relate. Do you think that plays a bigger role in what you're doing at first step, rather than just having a normal nurse just deal with things? Do you think there's an added bonus to that?
Yes, very big added bonus.
Yeah.
Especially with when dealing with addiction. As an addict, an active addict, or in active addiction or in early recovery, often one try our luck with things,
Mm,
right? To avoid ourselves from maybe doing sessions in a program want to be put off, or maybe they want to do job function, or they want to go out somewhere.
yeah.
And we start avoiding these feelings. Um, so in that case, it's a bonus because I have an understanding and also certain. Sometimes one is going through certain emotions that individual is going through that I can relate to, or I can bring them to an understanding that yes, these emotions are real, but how to deal with it from an addict's perspective, a recovering addict's perspective, that is something that your average person doesn't know.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier to work, and in also that way you gain a better uh, form of trust with the patient, because the patient feels that they can trust you more because you're able to identify when they are, maybe pushing their luck, or because it's that common ground that they're able to share. So
and you have an ear that you can relate to when they are maybe struggling. You can be there for them. Whereas imagine somebody that has not been through an addiction might not know exactly what's going on. Textbook wise, maybe yes, but we know it goes a lot deeper than that. Yeah. So I think what we can do is we can take a walk to the office, and then we can move into our next couple of questions, because I'd love to see it, and maybe you can give me a tour of what it is that you do with the boys, and maybe some extra, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure.
Let's go.
Dinesh's journey didn't end with recovery. It became the foundation for something bigger. Today he works in the nursing area at First Step, combining lived experience with professional medical training. For someone who once needed help himself, this space now represents trust, responsibility, and a chance to give back. Maybe I can get myself into one of his cupping sessions? Who knows? Stay tuned to the end of the video to find out.
Nutrition. As a paramedic, I'm an advanced life supporter. I'm also a health and safety officer.
Nice.
Also have a diploma in nursing leadership and management. Amongst some other things, I'm also a cognitive behavior therapist, working with the mental side of things, because it works hand in hand. If a person is not mentally well, then physically they're not going to do well.
Yeah, true. I mean, I can imagine there's steps towards recovery, and one of the first things, how can you deal with addiction, or start going into a program if you are sick with a certain ailment? And I imagine that's what you're explaining. Do they come first, or what is first, medical or the recovery program? Or what
medical is first, because your very first, in order to start recovery, one needs to be completely honest, and you need to admit that you have a problem.
Okay.
Right? So that's the very first step, which I think is more of a mental, psychological step.
Okay.
But it still falls under the health sector. Right? There's different divisions in health. Mental health care, and then there's alternative therapy, there's Eastern medicine, there's Chinese medicine, there's Western medicine. So once we've identified that and we've made our initial assessment, then we will then move into treatment. So the first phase of treatment is detoxification, which is very much medical.
Yeah, true.
Because recalling one's vitals is important.
Yes.
Because some people, through the detoxification, depending on the substances that they are using, can get quite bad. So in that case, then we need to have the right supplements and medication to make things easier for the patient, as well as rejuvenating or replenishing.
You have to focus on them 100% at that point in their recovery. Just on that. Okay. So patient is all settled in. Talk to me about those alternate. How do they get into that with you? What is it that you do with them as well? If they
what I do with them on a monthly basis, unless requested more. We offer cupping, cupping.
Okay.
Wet and dry cupping. Dry cupping is more just for massage therapy.
Okay.
The wet cupping is the drainage of toxins that the body struggles to push out. It's in the lymphatic system.
Okay.
It helps a lot with the drainage of lactic acid and overall health.
Nice.
Then also I practice acupuncture. Acupuncture you can treat so many different things for. Then I also do dry needling, but the dry needling techniques I use in Western medicine.
I see.
So I combine Eastern, Western medicine in my forms of practicing. Over the years, I just found it work better. However, I'm a fan of alternative medicine and therapies because of Western medicine's harmful side effects.
And then Is it a must for the clientele to go through this, to do this with you, or is it
No,
an extra option that they?
it's extra option.
Okay. And what do you find about the mindset of the typical patient that would want to go through this type of treatment with you? The extras, do they focus more on the recovery, or do you say them in normal, or is it just the same for? No.
It's noticing improvement. I'm gonna say it is improvement with the overall health and wellness and the mental state. They feel the patient doesn't feel so stressed. Sometimes if there's a light hold, there's a weight off their shoulders.
Yeah.
There's times also where they are like in a lot of pain with certain maybe back aches or headaches or from injuries that they got maybe from outside. Also, because when from moving from active addiction or substance abuse or alcoholism, one doesn't really feel any pain or really get sick. Once an individual or patient starts withdrawing, then all these ailments come out. So when they want to, they seek that attention.
Nice.
And a lot of other facilities don't offer these services that First Step does, where it's hands-on medical assistance,
Nice. Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah. And I like the fact that it's an extra, so I have to put that effort in to go and look for that help to help me in my recovery, which means mentally I am putting in that effort, that steps needed to help me with my treatment. It's not being forced upon, so which means I'm learning to take care of myself again. That responsibility is coming from me. And it's actually happening here at First Step, which is a great, for me, it's a big plus. Yeah, I love that. And then, let's see, when a patient sits in front of you, okay, so then, okay, so I was about to ask you what makes First Step different from the side of things, and you literally just mentioned it now, saying the extras that you do offer, and I can see what a big difference is. Well, I can imagine what a big difference that makes in a patient's life, that they don't have to suffer with all these ailments that they go through once in recovery. So you've made that clear. I get that. And then, what would you like for a patient to feel after interacting with you? I mean, they will be becoming scared, broken, afraid, unsure about what all of this is about. But once leaving the office, what is your goal for them once they walk out here?
Okay, nice question. My goal is to establish a good practitioner-patient relationship with the patient.
Yeah.
So that the patient, we have a trust, a platform of trust, and that we set boundaries, personal boundaries, and within the work environment. And whatever stays in here, whatever happens in here stays in here.
Okay.
Alright. So the patient is then comfortable to offload anything that the patient feels maybe uncomfortable with or has been sitting with. And that the patient walks out of here feeling lighter and refreshed and ready to run 10 kilometer marathon.